Good afternoon. I'm Jen O'Brien with Hawks Learning. Welcome to the last keynote session of the day and the conference. We've enjoyed connecting with and learning from educators from across the country over the past 2 days and hope you have too. Thanks as always to our speakers for sharing their expertise and experience with us as well. As a reminder, all sessions will be recorded and we will send out the information on how to access those recordings after the conference. Without further delay, I'd like to introduce today's keynote speaker. Dr. Leone holds a bachelor's degree in psychology, a doctorate in naturopathic medicine, and a board certification in holistic nutrition. In addition to practicing medicine, Dr. Leone has developed and currently teaches science and nutrition courses for a nationally accredited institution. She specializes in chronic illness, gastrointestinal dysregulation, inflammatory conditions, and mental health. Her unique approach combines the wisdom of Eastern medicine with the technology and science of Western medicine, offering an integrative approach heavily focused on functional medicine. When she's not practicing, Dr. Leone is an avid researcher, writer, public speaker, and yoga enthusiast. Dr. Leone, thank you for joining us today, and I will let you take it from here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. I really appreciate it, Jennifer. Okay, so I am Dr. Jacquie. I am a naturopathic physician, and I focus heavily on what's known as functional medicine. So functional medicine is essentially harnessing your own biology to really address the unique concerns that you might have. Now, obviously, there are umbrella things that everybody needs: water and good sleep, stress management, and good nutrition. But there are a few unique tweaks that we can do for each individual to deliver a very impactful biohacking, if you will, for your unique biology. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the presentation that I have. Let's see. Now, this is going to be a learning experience for us all because I've never used Canva presentation, but here we go. Okay, so hopefully everybody, in just a second, here we go. Hopefully everybody can see this and we can pull it up here. Okay, so can everybody see this okay? Hopefully, fingers crossed. So good, I got a thumbs up. Okay, so here we go, biohacking. Okay, for you in the classroom. Now, I feel when I'm teaching, if I have something going on physically, getting over illness, didn't sleep well that night, I'm in a really stressed state, or if I haven't eaten well, my blood sugar's low, then obviously I can't really show up for my students as well, right? Because we're people before we're teachers. And so this is really all about using your biology to your advantage as both a person and as a teacher. So biohacking, what exactly is it? It's a fancy new industry term for what I know as functional medicine. It's also known sometimes as human augmentation or human enhancement, but it's essentially purposely impacting your biology by improving your performance, your health, and your well-being with strategic interventions. And these strategic interventions got the nickname hacks, right? Some of them are going to be pretty obvious. I'm sure some of you will probably already know. And this is a great mind map to kind of illustrate all the different tools in a toolbox of biohacking. So you can obviously, for mental, emotional health, things like meditating, journaling, nutrition and sleep are super important. And then over here, we have genetic testing and regeneration and biotech. And these are really emerging fields that are helping us analyze people's genetic code and unique physiology so that we can deliver care plans that really target your issues specifically. So let's get into today's topics, and I will be going fast because we have a lot of good ones. But essentially, the first four to me are really umbrella terms or I guess interventions, in the sense that everybody could benefit from a little bit of all of these, from sleep to movement, right? Exercise we know is good for us, but why? Nutrition and hydration, we all need to eat and drink water. Mindfulness and stress management, being mindful, being present, learning how to kind of get coherence between our brain and our body, because our brain will be going a mile a minute and that makes our body physically fatigued. So how can we get on the same page, right? And then the last two are underlined because that's really where the uniqueness comes in. Everybody needs the first 4 to some degree, slightly different for each person, but those last 2 are really going to be tailor-made to you. And that's where high-level biohacking happens. So we have foundational biohacking, again, the things everyone needs. And then we have that unique, very laser-focused biohacking that we'll get to. So first and foremost is going to be mindfulness. Now, for those of you who may not teach or really be in the sciences, a quick review. We are made up of trillions of cells. And these cells work together in tiny, all the way up to massive or macro scale factories, if you will, right? Tiny cells taking energy in, taking nutrients in, doing what they do to replicate, to maybe grow more hair or heal that bruise or that wound on your hand, and then excrete any toxins and continue on. All the way up to the macro, because those cells build tissues, tissues build organs, and organs build organ systems. And then we are the collection of all of those organ systems, right? So if we're having negative outcomes in our organ systems, physically speaking, chances are something's happening on that cellular level. Now, what kind of drives these factories is what I get asked a lot. And it's really 2 pieces. Number 1, genetics. You're born with it. You can't really, by and large, impact it too much. Now, you can learn to manage it and impact it slightly, but it's just your blueprint. And the second one is going to be mindfulness. And the reason why is because when we think thoughts or perceive things in our daily life, guess what happens? Our cells respond and react. We can sit here and ruminate over a very stressful memory or stressful issue in our life, and our whole physiology will respond, right? So that is a sign that there's an inherent link between mind and body, and mind in a lot of times or cases drives behavior. Why do we eat the food we know maybe isn't the healthiest for us? It's more emotional, it's more mental, right? Because we have an association to it. So mindfulness is really key. It's what I find with all of my patients and clients is the central theme to, if mindfulness is off, or mental emotional management of stress is off, self-belief is off, everything else in the biology is going to be off. So I really like to lay the foundation with mindfulness. Now you can kind of see here from the image some of the benefits. It's going to lower your stress, increase your brain function, lower your blood pressure, making you more calm, which will help with sleep, anxiety, depression, decreasing pain. It will allow you to be more present in the classroom and in your own life. Now, how exactly do we get there? What the heck is mindfulness? What does that mean? Mindfulness is really about observing your inner and your outer world, zero judgment, zero striving. We're not ruminating about something that we did in the past, and we're not imagining the worst case scenario of the future or trying to anticipate or solve problems of the future that haven't even arrived yet. It's really about being very present. And I think that this image really illustrates to me, is your mind full, or are you being mindful, being present? Not judging what you're feeling, really just allowing those things to occur and to happen, taking time for yourself every day intentionally to clear out any of the clutter and kind of just focus in on what's happening in the present moment and allowing those things to come up and out. It's almost like watching clouds float by in the sky. We're not judging them. We're not trying to fix, solve, or change them. We're just watching them float by. And the same can be said for mindfulness when we're working on it. And just observing our thoughts, our feelings, sensations. I get asked a lot of times, what's the difference between mindfulness and meditation? So this is a great illustration. Mindfulness is about being present with what is, and it's a state of being. Meditation is really about focusing on releasing thought and emotion and kind of finding that empty space, even if just for 10 to 15 seconds. And it's a tool that creates mindfulness. Right? And mindfulness is the state of being. And mindfulness becomes easier the more we meditate. And meditation becomes easier the more mindful we are. So they really have a synergistic connection together. They help reinforce each other. So the next thing, as it applies to mindset, is going to be, or mindfulness in general, is growth mindset. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was raised in school and in the classroom, intellect, creativity is either you're born with it, or you got it, or you don't. Right? And what we're learning in psychology and in medicine is that's actually not true. Having a fixed mindset really limits your ability to grow and your students' ability to learn. If they have a mental block that they just are, reading comprehension is difficult and they keep struggling, right? Maybe they can read the words, but they're not comprehending what's happening. And so they get feedback within themselves or maybe from peers that they just are a bad reader, right? That can solidify and carry with them for the rest of their lives. And we do that as people and as instructors as well, right? So I think we really need to work on a paradigm shift as a whole and as an industry, both on the individual level and the group level with a growth mindset. So intelligence and creativity is not static. You can grow, you can evolve, you can learn things, right? You can improve and become better. And you do that with the rest of this list, right? So you're embracing challenges, seeing setbacks as opportunities versus punishments, mastering the effort of yet, right? So I'm not good at that yet. I'm not a great reader yet. I'm not a master of math yet. These concepts are difficult, but I'm not there yet, right? Giving yourself that room to breathe, that room to grow is really going to help expand both your ability to teach and hold space for students, as well as really motivate and inspire your students to be the best they can be. So, I mean, imagine if when we were learning to walk, we stumbled the first time and we stayed down. I mean, we'd have a planet full of adults crawling, right? So that was imbibed in us. That was natural before the world got a hold of us and told us who we were. We knew who we were, and we tried things over and over again until we got it. And so I really challenge you in both your personal and professional lives to work on allowing yourself to make mistakes, allowing yourself to embrace some challenges and a little bit of discomfort, because in reality, at the end of the day, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And we're constantly evolving as people. So this is a huge biohack in the sense of really capitalizing on your neurology and having your biology follow. The last two, feedback is fuel. Feedback is not criticism. A lot of times when we get feedback, this went wrong, you're not doing, this could be better. We take it as part of our identity, right? I'm bad. Something I did, I'm a failure. When in reality, it's just the world reflecting back to us through people, relationships, our students, where we can improve. And it's really up to you to kind of pick and choose which you apply and which you let go. Feedback is a choice. Feedback can be fuel to improve. If 10 students are saying the same thing, maybe there's something there. But if 10 students are saying 10 different things, obviously that's their perception, their preference. And then you get to decide as the person and the instructor what you apply and what you don't, right? So it's not about criticism. It's not a definition of your character. It's just feedback. And last but not least is inspiration and comparison. I am, and working to overcome, as we all are, the compare despair. Right? You see someone who has something you want, a skill, an ability, the feedback, the paycheck, whatever it is, the relationship. And, we think we have a finite amount of that thing. And so if they have a lot of it, then there's scarcity and we're not going to get any. When in reality, it's unconditional. The sky is the limit, right? And instead of seeing them as a comparison, maybe seeing them as an inspiration. If they can do it, I can do it. And helping us apply that within ourselves and model that in the classroom, but with our students as well, right? Instead of creating a sense of lack or jealousy, it's inspiration and motivation. Growth mindset is huge. Now we're going to move on to stress. Some of these slides I'll go really quickly through just because of time, because there's a lot to cover and I'm really excited. But let's move from stressful to stress-free. So you can kind of see here from this image that parasympathetic state during meditation, that's our rest and digest. That's where we absorb nutrients from the food we eat. That's when our nervous system is in a calm, safe space. And then we have a sympathetic state, that fight or flight state, right? Fight or flight is where we are scared and we perceive a threat as literally threatening our life. We have a question. So let's jump in. Can you elaborate about the difference between meditation and mindfulness? Yes, absolutely. So mindfulness is being present. You're aware. You are, as you take a walk, let's say if you're walking your dog or you're at the gym exercising or doing anything really, are you actually present with the sounds in the water or the sky or the sounds of the birds chirping or what's going on around you? Or are you solving a problem at work? Are you rehashing a relationship issue in your brain? So your body's physically somewhere, but your mind is off in the ethers, kind of doing and ruminating and jumping forward to the future and back to the past. I shouldn't have done that thing, or, oh my gosh, next time I'm going to do it differently. Or are you present? Are you being aware now? Are you on that walk, listening to the birds, feeling the breeze and the sun on your face? Are you present in your very moment? Are you aware, oof, my chest feels a little heavy today. I must be experiencing sadness, or my heart is racing. Maybe I'm anxious about something, and you're just aware with the sensations going on in your body, right? Mindfulness is being present. Meditation is more a state of trying to empty and hit the reset button. Just like when electronics start going wonky, we have to hit reset, right? And give it a break to rest. Our brain and our neurology and biology require rest. That's why we sleep, right? And why a lot of us can't sleep is because we're on the hamster wheel of our mind. So meditation allows the mind to shut off. Now, studies have shown that in meditation, we can maybe go 10 to 30 seconds completely empty, and then our mind creates a thought. I'm hungry. I hear a sound in the next room. My phone is buzzing, right? And that's fine. You recognize the thought, and I kind of picture it as a helium balloon. I let it go, it floats away, and I come back to the calm or the empty, right? So it's about not efforting. It's about creating empty space where you're not working to be aware and present. You're working to do nothing, essentially, not attached to any thought. Some people need visualization to get into a meditative state. So visualizing the beach, visualizing an empty room, visualizing a big blue sky, something vast, open, and relaxing. And that can facilitate and get you there. Visualization is a great tool to get you into a meditative state. But mindfulness is more about being present, and it's a state of being. Meditation is a tool we use to get there. So hopefully that makes sense. And I love the questions. Please keep them coming. Okay, so back to, and hopefully I got rid of that Q&A and that's not in the screen. Okay, so back to stress. So when we are in a meditative state, you can kind of see our cortex expands, right? That's our ability for cognition. That's our ability for beta alpha waves, theta waves, delta waves, all these different brain waves in order to solve problems, to feel feelings that maybe we're avoiding, right? And you can see our physiology here, our heart and lungs, calm down. Our breath rate slows, our heart rate slows. And this is a state of health. When we're in our sympathetic fight or flight, our cognition goes down. We are all limbic. We are all fight or flight. We are all for instant gratification sensation. And our heart rate skyrockets, our breath rate gets quick and shallow, and we're not oxygenating the blood, right? And so we're ready to fight or flight. Literally, we are perceiving a threat. And so when we live in this stress state over time, inflammation and, oxidative stress of free radicals, literal damage to our DNA, we're not making great choices in relationships or with food. So we eat our feelings away or drink our feelings away or do all of these behaviors that are actually, in an effort to want to get more neutral or calm, we're doing more of the worst. We're causing what we're working to avoid, to be honest with you, right? And so parasympathetic versus sympathetic. Real quick for my anatomy and science people, if you know this, it might be redundant for those of you who don't. We have a limbic brain, okay? And the limbic brain is all about sleep, procreation, food, emotion, protection. It's our animal brain. And we evolved to have a cortex wrapped around that. So at the center, right, is that amygdala, hippocampus, all that cool stuff. And then around it is that cortex. Now, this is consciousness. And this is what makes us different than the animal world. Our personality lies here, our time management, executive functioning. It creates that filter where we say and feel we feel things, but we don't say that thing, right? We take a moment of pause. That is the cortex. So you can see in sympathetic state, that cortex shrinks. We're all limbic. We're all reactionary. Where when we work to be in a parasympathetic state, we're responsive. We take that moment of calm and that beat, right? So this stress management is huge when it comes to biohacking, because if you are in a stress state, you cannot absorb nutrition from food. Any therapeutics, supplements you're taking, herbs you're trying to take, things you're trying to take to really increase your biological potential won't really work. because you're not assimilating them. So this is why mind hacks are so important. Mindfulness moments, taking walks, journaling, really eating with no screens and enjoying your food in that moment. You can be mindful while eating, mindful while listening to music, mindful while journaling, playing with your animals and connecting with them, looking in their eyes. You know, mindfulness is, again, a state of being. Second is that growth mindset in those 6 tips. Really, you're not static. We're always evolving. It's okay to be a little uncomfortable because that's where the magic happens. And last but not least, the stress management tools, working to get into parasympathetic with breath work, meditation, mindfulness, and all those mindfulness moments really help you manage stress, right? So everything kind of is working interdependently here, interconnectedly, I guess you could say. So that brings me to nutrition. A nutrition professor said this to me in medical school, and I love it, so I still use it to this day. You are what you eat, quite literally. So don't be fast, cheap, or fake. Obviously, you know, it's all about balance and moderation. And I go by the 80-20 rule because nutrition really does drive biology. If 80% of the time we're eating whole foods and we are sticking to some of the things I'll review here in just a moment, and 20% of the time we're doing what tastes good, feels good in the moment, instant gratification, that's fine. That's a balance. Disease states happen when that's inversed. And 80% of the time it's convenience food, packaged foods, frozen foods, and 20% is maybe a salad, some fiber, some fruits and veggies, right? So if we can shift that proportion of 80-20, then you really are going to notice a huge impact in your health, your both neurologically, biologically, your sleep, your aches and pains, your disease states, your symptoms. And it's all about nutrition in a lot of cases. After mindfulness, I notice nutrition with my patients is the second biggest impact and tool for biohacking or functional medicine. Because think about it. I mean, the neurotransmitters that dictate your brain activity, the hormones that run your body processes, from your circadian rhythms for sleep, female cycles, for menstruation, regenerating cells that build the body. Is your hair thinning? Are your nails brittle? Do you have skin problems? Are you not healing as fast? Are you still achy from a joint problem that happened 2 years ago when the body should have repaired by and large for the most part? So what's lacking there? What is that problem, and how can we hack your biology? We have to really understand the lay of the land first, right? But once we understand these processes, we can capitalize on them and turn good ones up and turn the bad ones down. All of these things are composed from elements of what you eat. Your genetics is the directions. Your nutrition is the ingredients. Those two things work together to create you, essentially. How quickly are you aging? Are you in a disease state, right? Now, you can't really control your genetics to a huge extent, but you can control something like what you're eating, right? So in functional medicine and naturopathic medicine, first we have to remove the obstacle to the cure. You could have great meal plans or supplements or therapeutics or doing all the right things. If you're still eating like crap consistently and that 80-20 is off, you're still going to feel not great, right? So really quickly, I won't get into too many details, but we want to remove the obstacles, right? We want to really work on shifting, even if it's just slow and steady. Like, I think a lot of my patients and clients I've noticed want to change everything all at once. And unfortunately, that's not realistic. If it took you 40 years to get to your diet and self-care plan as it is, it might take a few months to a few years for you to retrain yourself. And that's okay. It's all about progress, definitely not perfection, because that doesn't exist. So why put the pressure on yourself, right? So we want to remove the obstacles: inflammatory foods, high processed foods, fast foods, highly processed sugars. Talk to your doctor or a health coach or nutritionist about potentially going through a detox and being able to remove things for a period of time in order for your body to rest and to heal and to address any messes it needs to clean up along the way, right? Now, what we want to include, protein is huge. Most Americans don't receive enough protein in their diet. Carbohydrates are yummy, fats are yummy, but we kind of overlook protein. But protein it's the building blocks. It's what makes everything. Yeah, sure, some things are made from fat, like sex hormones, of course. So we want to have a healthy amount of good unsaturated fat. But protein is really where the magic happens. So neurotransmitters, how do we learn? How do we create lessons? How did we get our degrees? How can we be present and stabilize our mood when we're having maybe a, frustrated student who's becoming impatient? How do we avoid not getting on that kind of energy wavelength with them and stay calm and mood stable? Our neurotransmitters, because that dictates our brain activity. Proteins and amino acids also make enzymes, and those are on and off switches in the body. They make stuff happen and turn on, and they can turn off different pathways. Last but not least, every single cell in your body is composed, in part at least, of protein. Or amino acids. So you can see the importance of protein and why we need to really focus on getting enough. About a gram-ish, give or take, per pound of body weight is really what we want to look for. So I weigh about 150 pounds. I strive for anywhere from 100 to 150 grams of protein a day. On some days it's a little less, some days it's a little more, and it all comes out in the wash. It's not about being perfect every day. The next thing is eating the rainbow. The earth is amazing. She knows what she's doing. Every single color of a fruit and vegetable has a magic superpower. They're called phytochemicals or plant chemicals. Beta carotenes are going to be in the yellow and orange family. So they're going to do things like help with vision. I mean, we know beta carotene from carrots and sweet potatoes, right? Prevent cancer growth. They're going to stop those mutated cells from developing and proliferating, believe it or not. If we want heart health and cardiovascular health, eating rich lycopene foods, things rich in antioxidants, red is huge. Fiber is great, and in leafy greens, it feeds the probiotics of the gut because they're prebiotics. And that creates, once our probiotics in our gut are great, serotonin for our mind, immune cells for our immune system, our weight manages itself, it kind of finds its own balance. So free radicals and damage, free radicals are imbalanced molecules, they're missing an electron. And so they're really angry and they go around and attack your DNA and damage your cells. So antioxidants from plant foods have so many extra electrons. So there's this disgruntled free radical. The antioxidant is like, hey, take one of mine. Have a good day. It's kind of like the Oprah of electrons. You get an electron and you get an electron. And now the free radical is balanced, neutralized, and it's no longer causing harm to your DNA, right? And so you're protective and you're preventing cellular damage from happening when we can eat antioxidants. That's really the power there. So that's what that means by free radicals. More antioxidants in purple and blues. Anthocyanins are great. White, like mushrooms, onions, garlic, things like that. They're natural antimicrobials, and they also reduce your risk of cancer. So please, 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 please eat the rainbow. At least half of your plate at every meal should have as many colors as possible. Last but not least is water. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Most Americans are dehydrated. Look at just from this image alone, we can see the percentage of these systems that require water to function properly. So if we're not getting enough water, all of these systems are going to have problems. Do you get chronic UTIs? Do you have achy joints? Do you get headaches? Do you get muscle cramps? Check yourself. Are you drinking enough water? It seems like such a simple biohack, yet it's so powerful. So rule of thumb is strive for half of your body weight in ounces. Again, I'm 150 pounds, so I need 75 on a basic day. Now I have a cup of coffee every morning. So you need to replace it. If you have coffee, I have about 8 to 12 ounces. I need to add 8 to 12 ounces of water to make up for that caffeine, because caffeine is a diuretic. It draws fluid out of the body. So we need to kind of keep that baseline. For everything you have in caffeine, have water to replace. And last but not least, if you're going to exercise or sweat a lot, you want to replace that fluid as well. So 75 on a sedentary day for me, and I have no coffee, plus another, like, let's say 10, I'm at 85 plus another 20, for working out. I'm at about 100 ounces a day. And for me, that's 4 of my water bottles. And that's a great way for me to manage and keep track. So real quick review of the hacks: protein at every single meal, about 1 gram per pound a day, if you can help it, give or take. Doesn't have to be perfect. Eat the rainbow as often as possible. And please, please, please hydrate, 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 right? A lot of us think when we're hungry, we're actually thirsty, because our body can't tell the difference between hunger cues and thirst cues. So if you feel hungry and you're like, whoa, I ate 30, 40, 50 minutes ago, maybe I shouldn't be hungry. Chances are you're thirsty. I challenge you to drink about 20 ounces of water and wait and see. I almost can guarantee you you're not really hungry. You are thirsty. Okay. Oh, we got some questions. How do you get that much protein in a day? 1 gram per pound of body weight. Well, so if in a standard serving of something like salmon, that's about 30, right? I have a protein shake in the morning, that's about 30 or 40. I have a protein yogurt snack with nuts and seeds and things like that. Cheese and even bread. Bread per slice has 5 to 7 grams of protein, especially if you get sprouted bread. Even vegetables, broccoli, about a cup of broccoli has a few grams of protein in it as well. Oatmeal you have in the morning, right, is going to have protein in it as well. So if you can strive for, like I said, about, I say 1 to round up, but in most cases, if you're not a heavy weightlifter, 0.7 to 0.8 grams, if you calculate it out, is really ideal, to be honest with you. But again, I just rounded up, and that's just kind of a umbrella statement for most people. Obviously, if you have kidney disease or kidney issues, you want to maybe lower that or talk to your doctor before you increase. But believe it or not, there's a lot of protein in the food you eat every day. It just depends on your diet. So I'm pescatarian. I don't eat pork or beef or poultry. So I get mine from seafood, from plant-based food, protein powders, and things like that. So it really just depends on the person. Dr. Matthew Osborne asks, is unsweetened black tea as effective as water? No, black tea is a diuretic as well, because black tea has caffeine in it. So it's akin to a coffee, right? So if you're going to drink black tea or tea in general, black tea can have great antioxidants in yerba mate. For example, green tea is amazing with its tannins and antioxidants, but because of the caffeine content, again, we want to have that water to equal it out. An anonymous attendee says, you mentioned water is a key factor. Recent research has shown or been published showing the link between fluoride and IQ, brain health in children and adults. This has also been found to be an endocrine disruptor and leads to cumulative toxicity in the skeletal system. Given the socioeconomic challenges that our students have, how can we help promote their access to good water if they cannot afford it? Faculty often have the luxury of obtaining quality water, but what about our students? What can they do? That's a really great question. And it really, I think, to me, stems with the family. So depending on the age of the student, if you can do, I've seen schools do fundraisers for water filters at home, whether that's Brita filters, doing drives at the holidays, really educating parents on parent-teacher night about the high quality of water and nutrition, to be honest with you. And I know that it's not always available. Food shelters, they offer distilled and natural spring waters a lot of times at a very discounted price. There are certain grocery store chains that are really willing to work with schools in the local community to provide different resources. So I think it's really about educating the parents, depending on the age of the student, if they're old enough to comprehend, maybe middle school, high school, college, obviously talking directly to the student, so that they can kind of take ownership of that. But I absolutely agree with you. I think resources in general across the board are a little bit limited depending on where we're serving, where we're teaching, and education to me creates empowerment, and then community reach out to help garner support. To me, at least, is what I have noticed is beneficial. I wish I could wave a magic wand and everybody get everything they need. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. Does water flavored, great question though, thank you. Does water flavored with powder still count as water? No. So if you're flavoring your water, even if it's sugar-free, you're still taking in sucralose or, xylitol or any of these sugar alcohols or fake sugars. When your body or your tongue tastes sweet, your pancreas naturally releases insulin thinking it's receiving sugar. Water does not change your blood sugar. Powders, sweet flavored powders, even if it's sugar-free, will change your insulin response and kind of dictate your blood sugar levels. And it's kind of like a false positive. It's like your pancreas crying wolf or your tongue crying wolf and your pancreas responding. So that doesn't count as water. Unless it's just straight up water, it's not water. The only thing that I would say is akin to water is maybe flavoring with herbs, like a little bit of mint or basil, lemon or cucumber. Right? Because that's not really going to significantly impact blood sugar changes or give any false positives to your biological response. Decaffeinated tea as a beverage still doesn't count as water, but I highly recommend herbal teas. And we talk about herbs in just a second. So I love these questions. These are great. Next is movement. And I apologize if I'm going quickly. I just want to make sure I get through everything. But exercise is the most potent and underutilized antidepressant, and it's absolutely free. Well, why? Harvard Health actually did a study and found that when we contract our muscles and we release what they're calling happy molecules. So we know it's important, but why? Here's why. So it promotes healing via blood flow. So anytime blood pools in joints or skin or tissue from sedentary lifestyle, nutrient and gas exchange isn't occurring. That's how things heal, is when new, fresh, oxygenated blood, where nutrients ride the wave or the highway of blood, can get into these small spaces, it can do more exchange. Good stuff lays down, immune health, immune cells can kill anything bad, antioxidants can fight those free radicals, your body's getting protein and collagen to heal skin wounds or grow hair or heal that capillary damage in the bruise, whatever the case is. And then blood flow again removes that bad blood where everything was kind of detoxed and processed, and new blood can arrive. And bad blood's away, new blood can arrive. And when we create that pumping action that the heart's trying to achieve every day anyway, movement will facilitate that even more, right? It'll create a greater efficiency of that gas exchange and nutrient exchange happening. And so that's why it's so healing. Also, we produce endorphins or happy molecules. And this is why exercise and movement can fight depression and anxiety and help with mood stabilization. Now, obviously, if you have a genetic inclination to these things, it's going to take the edge off, but not be curative. For those of you who don't have genetic predisposition to mental illness, and it's just a state of life because you feel unmotivated, uninspired, and unhappy in your life, movement and exercise can actually create a lot of joy and really help significantly diminish aspects of depression and anxiety. It's going to improve focus and attention. If you ever notice any of your kids in class that might have ADD, ADHD, at least I noticed this significantly, after recess, they're able to focus a little bit longer, right? They've gotten the jitters out. All of my students, if I'm working with a neurodivergent group, it's like wiggles and jiggles. Let's get it all out. And then we're going to focus for 20 to 30 minutes on the task at hand. So, it really does help in the classroom, and it helps you as the teacher. It helps release unprocessed feelings and stress. So if a lot of people are repressed, check it at the door. I shouldn't feel this feeling. I don't have permission to process right now. I have work and things to do. Exercise and movement is a great place to get that moving. Adrenaline and cortisol are stress hormones and substances released in stressful states. They have to be metabolized. I mean, zebra packs that are chased down by lions go to their favorite watering hole once they're safe, and they just shake and shake and shake. And that's their natural inclination and knowingness to metabolize adrenaline and cortisol. How many times have you had an argument with somebody and had to go beyond right away? Did you shake? Did you give yourself an opportunity to process, or did you stick a cork in it? And did you do that every single day, 10 times a day for years on end? Right? That's repression and suppression. And that's where disease states happen and mental illness gets worse. So by movement and exercise, you're actually doing your proverbial shaking, if you will, right? Your wiggles and jiggles, getting it out. You feel a sense of accomplishment. And that goes into your growth mindset. I'm capable, I can grow, I can evolve, I can do better. And that's inspiring and motivating and more likely to make you make better choices down the line. It improves sleep and energy across the board. And again, anxiety and depression. So some movement hacks. Keep it fun. Remove as much resistance. If you create a exercise plan for yourself and it's a bunch of stuff you should be doing, but you don't love doing, you're not going to do it. Okay? Take it from me. I've seen thousands of patients, and I'm a person myself. If there's resistance, it will not get done. But if it's fun, if you love dancing, taking a Zumba class or a dance class, if you're an athlete, playing a sport with your friends, having a field day of some sort, joining a softball league in your community, these things will make you want to move. Okay. So make sure it's fun for you. Second thing is research has shown about 30 minutes a day, 2.5 to 3 hours a week, right? Which breaks down to about 30 minutes a day, is really what's going to help limit risk factors of things like heart disease, stroke, myocardial infarction or heart attack, diabetes, obesity, and help improve mood and sleep and all the good things. So the benefits really come at about the 30-minute mark. Now you're welcome to do more, but we want to really reach that minimum of the 30 minutes a day if possible. And something is better than nothing. Even if it's just walking your dog for 30 minutes, that's better than you doing nothing at all. Okay. So give yourself credit. And last but not least is mix it up. Okay. So if our body's doing the exact same workout every day or the exact same thing, other muscles aren't being challenged. Our body becomes desensitized to the benefits. And so when we can create some sort of like excitement and muscle confusion in a sense by switching it up and rotating maybe 2 to 3 options a week or a month, that's really going to also keep you engaged and make you more likely to continue on your movement care plan. So next we have, let's see on time. Okay, so going a little over on time. Sleep. Acute sleep issues, because we had questions. So hopefully it's okay to balance the questions as I'm going. But acute sleep versus chronic sleep deprivation. Chronic sleep deprivation is less than 6 hours over months at a time. You're putting yourself at risk for all of these issues, which are actual disease states, right? Acute sleep deprivation is less than 6 hours a night, anywhere from days to weeks. You're going to notice all of these things changing: inflammation, aches and pains. You're more likely to get sick. You can't really focus in classroom or in your life. Your cognition goes down. So what are some sleep hacks? A night routine. Just like you have a morning routine, wake up, brush your teeth, have your coffee or tea or whatever the case is, create a night routine. Really prime your body to get used to those last 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. Screens about 1 to 2 hours, ideally 2 hours before bed. When our eyes are taking in light, especially blue light from screens, we're not going to make melatonin because, you know, it's light. Our body's supposed to be awake when it's light out. So if we don't let our body really work to connect to the darkness, right? And dim the lights in the house, turn the screens off, allow the body about an hour to create sufficient melatonin, that's when sleep is going to be difficult. Also, mindfulness to get the ruminating thoughts out. Maybe a pad next to your bed to just write all the things. I'll think about this tomorrow, but right now it's sleep time. These are all parts of night routines. And again, the no screens. And last but not least, if you notice you're doing the night routine, you're doing the no screens, you're taking accountability and really working to get rest, and you're still waking throughout the night, tossing and turning, have a poor quality of sleep, you might have sleep apnea or another sleep disturbance. So don't be afraid to track your sleep and or go get tested by a professional to see how you can improve. I got a Q&A. Yes, about a pound. To Anonymous, the crude way of knowing pounds, your hand is going to be anywhere from 4 to 6 ounces of protein, the palm of your hand, usually about this thick in the size of the palm. Good substitute for sugar. Stevia is great, Gloria. Also monk fruit is good if you want to use that. Honey, maple syrup, because they're hot. Honey is antimicrobial. Maple syrup is high in minerals. So if you're going to have something sweet, those are definitely, they will change blood sugar, but if you're looking for no sugar, I would say stevia and monk fruit are great. They're plant sweeteners. Will these slides be available to us? They're great as a teaching tool. Oh yeah, sure. You guys will definitely have access to the slides by all means. Okay, so back to, went through too fast. Specialized testing. How do we know what specific supplements, herbs, how much of a food, how little of a food, what genetic predispositions we have to certain diseases? Are we going to get Alzheimer's, breast cancer, all these things? How do we know? It can be kind of scary. And the good news is there's specialized testing now. So blood work is a key to effective biohacking, to know specifically what you need. So from metabolic issues, maybe you just have pancreatic insufficiency and you make insulin, but not enough. So you're not diabetic, but maybe your body doesn't respond as well to carbohydrates, right? Maybe you have liver conjugation issues, right? And you need a little extra help for your liver to be able to filter and do its thing. You're only going to know those issues if you get tested, right? So genetic predispositions to things, 23andMe. I'm not affiliated with any company. Your doctor can get access to companies outside of those types of companies to really know your genetic predispositions to thing. I come from a long line of women who develop Alzheimer's, so I got the genetic test right away. Thank goodness I don't have that gene, but I still know the propensity. So I do things to protect against it. If you have nutrient deficiencies, right? You could be taking a multivitamin every day, but still be deficient in a specific nutrient because the way your body utilizes it, or you're not getting it from your diet. So why take a multivitamin with 30 things in it if you really only need 3 specific things and you're getting all the rest from your diet? Save your money on the multi, get the 3 specific things you need for your body, and everybody's different. What's your likelihood of a cardiovascular event? That C-reactive protein is a test you want to get, and that's an inflammatory marker in your cardiovascular system. And other inflammatory responses. Is your gut responding to some of your favorite foods as if it was a bacteria and virus? That's known as a food intolerance or food sensitivity. You can get specialized tests for that. So some hacks for testing is speak to your doctor. Functional medicine doctors and naturopaths are much more, we're educated in this. We take specific courses and classes for this. It's kind of just part of the way that we treat. Standard MDs and PCPs may or may not be open to it. So definitely, you know, try your hand with your PCP. I know insurance is kind of an issue and a barrier in some cases, but if not, maybe seek a PCP or an MD or DO that is a functional medicine doctor or open to that. And then obviously I am partial to naturopaths being one. So, you know, seek out professionals who are specifically trained in these things, who know the genetic testing to do, the nutrient and food testing to do, right? I mean, almost every patient I have, I do micronutrient test every vitamin, every mineral, every antioxidant to see exactly where they're at. We also do food sensitivity. Are you sensitive to gluten and don't know it? Are you sensitive to certain tree fruits or nuts? And, you know, it's not a full-blown allergy where you're getting anaphylaxis, but it's enough to cause bloating and pain and discomfort. And then screenings and exams. Please get your screenings and exams regularly. Normal is a big window, everyone. You could be on the low, safe end of normal, or the high end of normal, which means maybe next year you're going to be outside the window of normal and into a disease state. By getting tests every single year, every other year, you can take a step back over time and track the changes. Because if your doctor comes back and, oh, you're normal, your labs are normal, so you feel like crap, but you're normal. Well, what if you're slowly increasing in that normal window toward pathology and they're not able to tell you that because they're not trained? So please speak to a trained professional in order to help you understand, track your exams, your lab tests, and all of those cool things. Last but not least for today, and then we're going to wrap up because I know we're tight on time. Interventions, specialized substances and interventions that are going to target your unique needs. Supplements are huge. We have cognitive supplements. 5-HTP, guys, is the precursor to dopamine. Dopamine is the reward feel-good molecule. We want more. We want to feel inspired, rewarded, and want to move, want to create, want to be better versions of ourselves. We're less likely to reach for sugar, alcohol, sex, and drugs when we have sufficient dopamine in our own body. Glutamine, an amino acid that you can get from food, hence the protein, that's going to make GABA, which is a calming neurotransmitter, help you feel grounded and calm. Tryptophan is the precursor to serotonin, mood, appetite, feeling safe, sound, cozy. That's serotonin. And guess what serotonin turns into at night? Melatonin, right? So taking tryptophan in any form or eating lots of tryptophan will be helpful. Phosphatidylserine is great for cellular structure, joints, and a lot of other aspects of health. Then we have physical, outside of the mind, probiotics for the gut, fatty acids for joints and anti-inflammatory heart health. Also, that feeds up appropriate sex hormones. So if you have cycle disturbance or prostate problems, a lot of times fatty acids will help. Quercetin is an antioxidant. Remember, the Oprah of cells, right? This is just one. There's a ton out there. Again, eat the rainbow. And then last but not least, vitamins and minerals. And that's going to be dictated by your specific lab tests, right? Then we have herbs. Herbs are nature's, just like food. Nature has a remedy for everything. I truly believe that. I live it, I apply it, patients, clients, and in the classroom and in my own life. So cognitive herbs, Bacopa gotucola, function, focus and attention. Rosemary helps with long-term memory. In the hypothalamus, taking short-term memory into long-term memory. Rosemary is huge for that. Lavender and chamomile are anxiolytics. They calm and soothe. Mushrooms like lion's mane are what are called nootropics. They help the brain function better, more robustly, quicker recall, quicker memory. All those things are happening at a better, more efficient rate. Physical herbs, we have turmeric and ginger, anti-inflammatory, ginger for energy, or ginseng for energy, natural energy that's not super crazy stimulating. Ashwagandha, astragalus are adaptogens. They help you adapt better to your stress. Vitex is a great hormone balancer, and the sky's the limit. I mean, there's an herb for every affliction. Then we have physical therapeutics. How good do you feel after a massage or a facial, or when somebody's pampering you? Physical touch is huge. Our nororeceptors in our body, pressure on the actual muscle and cell, help release happy chemicals. So things like massage, personal training for more movement, physical therapy, stretching, chiropractic. Wim Hof is the ice bath, which it's not for everyone. I personally love it. I've noticed a huge change when I do practice it regularly in my nervous system and my ability to regulate. Lymph drainage, acupuncture and Chinese medicine, IVs and injection therapies. I mean, these are great therapeutics, but again, you're not going to know until you get tested to understand which one is going to be most effective for you. You can try them out and see trial and error, but usually getting tested first will really help you understand what you need. Last but absolutely not least, before we wrap up, I have one more slide after this: mental and emotional therapeutics. Whether it's a therapist, a coach, a spiritual advisor, someone at church, synagogue, or temple, whatever you abide by, if you're agnostic and you have a mentor, or you meditate or do yoga or anything like that, having your mind be a tethered ball of yarn and speaking to someone who knows appropriate methodology and ways to approach helping you kind of untease your problems and make sense of them. I love this imagery because of really what the intention of things like trauma therapy, regular cognitive behavioral therapy and counseling, seeing support groups, if addiction or other afflictions or grief, if you've lost a child, for example, if you're from the military, for example, they all have support groups. So you feel less alone, you feel more connected. Biohacking is all about building a community as well, because we're not individuals and we don't live in a vacuum. We are part of a greater good. We are all interconnected on some level. I know you know this because you are teachers. And so you value the exchange, the community, the bond, right? And this is a great way to facilitate that. So therapeutics, supplements and herbs, physical, mental, emotional. Those are hacks that you can apply in your daily life. I love this quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson: "The only person you're destined to become is the person you decide to be." And you can decide through biohacking measures, any of these methods, they're acts of self-love. When we care for ourselves and love ourselves, we live to our highest potential. You are worth it. You're worth knowing yourself, caring for yourself, being the best version you can be. A biohacker is a person who utilizes these techniques to make their mind and body function to their highest potential. So are you ready to biohack? Awesome. That's all she wrote. I'm so sorry I ran so far over. Lifestyle medicine, absolutely. Oh, thanks, Shell. Bruising after massage reveal, sometimes broken capillaries, sometimes lack of iron, and sometimes just movement of things that were trapped. If you had, fibrotic changes in your muscles or holding on to extra tension, believe it or not, breaking those capillaries and that scar tissue up could be a really good thing. So I hope I got all your questions. Melatonin pills, last but not least, I'm so sorry. I think taking them in a short-term situation for jet lag, or for a week or two are fine, but long-term, you're kind of rewiring your own biochemistry and you're not as sensitive to your own melatonin. So if you have to take it longer than a week or two, highly recommend seeing a professional or applying some of these biohacking skills to see if you can improve. How much is running too much as we get older? So running can be really difficult on the joints. Anybody over about 35 to 40, I recommend maybe not running and doing an elliptical or a stair machine. Walking is great, but if you're getting shin splints, if you're getting aches and pains after running longer than just a few hours or a day, chances are you're probably doing more harm than good, and you could benefit from other types of exercise. Oh, I'm so glad you're inspired, Elizabeth. This is great. I'm so happy everybody enjoyed it. Thank you so, so much. I really sincerely appreciate you holding space. And I hope you take what resonates with you. And I hope some of these lifestyle and dietary points really helped make you inspired and motivated to do better and be better.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Leone. I see you have a lot of clapping hands and hearts coming through. So I know everyone appreciated your presentation. Wonderful. Well, then I will go ahead and help transition us to the next round of concurrent sessions. They begin at 2 p.m. Eastern time today. You can view the chat for session meeting room links or access the conference website for a complete list of concurrent sessions and their descriptions. While accessing the conference website, don't forget to swing by the virtual exhibit hall and say hi to the Hawks team. While there, you can view a quick 5-minute demonstration of our software, request your free t-shirt, and be entered to win a $50 hourly giveaway. Also, in the spirit of St. Patrick's Day, you'll find a few gold coins throughout the conference website. If you click on one, you'll be entered to win an additional raffle. All right, thanks so much, everyone, for your time, and we will see you at the next session. Thanks, Dr.
Thank you
Leone.
so much, everyone.